Hey everybody, back with another video. This will probably be a quick one. I've been wanting to do this for a while and I just have my Mario Brothers pulled out because somebody needed a picture of the monitor, how it was installed. So I figured what I would do is listen to this hum. And this one's pretty bad. There's my meter right there. Around 38 decibels, right? And I'll just turn it off so you can hear, see what it is when it's completely quiet. Alright, and that's where my take out the audio board and bring it to the bench and then review something that Hudson Arcade, Mark Spaeth. I might actually cap it too, but I might even cap the monitor, I'm not sure. But I'm first going to do this audio thing to see if I can break a ground loop on the remote board and if that's the actual problem. Alright, we're at the back of the cabinet and hopefully I can light this up pretty good. But you have the audio plug coming from the PCB, and that's this plug right here. There's a ground as well as the audio signal, and that goes into that amplifier board back there, and the amplifier board has a connector, that gray wire right, let's see, right there, that one, and that goes to the audio board, the remote board. And supposedly that remote board is also connected to ground, and what Mark posted about on his Facebook was that that ground loop is actually the cause of the hum. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it's a quick, easy test. I think I'm going to try. I'm just filming this because actually this is why I took it out in the first place. There's like on the right hand side, there's this little extra piece of wood that lifts this up. I think it was Ian or something, if I'm not mistaken, from Coin Rejects on KLOV, needed some pictures of this, and I already sent them pictures, but I just found it interesting. Why the hell is that there? He mentioned it in a post of his, but I don't know if it makes sense to me. Why? Oh, because yeah, there is this the bottom piece. I'll show you, actually I'll explain it later. Alright, nothing's ever easy. I had to pull it out of the cabinet really. But what I was getting at is when it's on its side, basically there's a shelf on this side so that when, you know, this side needs to rest on the extra piece of wood, because this shelf for the chassis mount is probably holding it over. That's what Eeyore or Ian was saying on the quote, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is everybody mentioning to get rid of this hum, you put in a new remote pot, blah blah blah, and Mark from Cambridge Arcade, you know, I'll ignore the part where he's like, hey, put the pot on there. And he was saying that if you look at the schematics, you can see the remote board was poorly designed. The audio wiring from the game PCB to the amp board and the amp board to the pop on the remote board is shielded, but it's shielded by the same ground that shorts the main chassis and the amp board to the frame. And that ground also connects to the brightness pot from the remote on the chassis. As you can see here, here's the remote board, and the brightness pot is grounded, as well as, and it goes to another spot, obviously on the chassis, and you also have the volume sharing that same ground trace with the brightness pot, and then, you know, that goes over to the audio amp board that gets grounded, and the audio amp board ground is connected to the PCB ground. So Mark is saying you have a ground loop here, and if you just cut the trace of the volume pot to the ground that the brightness pot is using, we should eliminate the ground loop. And so what that looks like is I already undid this a little bit. So Let's see, how can I do this? If I flip this over, this is the volume pot right here. If I flip this over, you can see right here is the ground pad, and it goes to this connector right there. You flip that over, that's actually the ground coming in from the amplifier board. So the amplifier board ground comes right there. That's that connection there. It also runs to this connection, which runs to the ground of the chassis, for example. And then this ground trace right here goes over here, which connects to the brightness pot right next to it. So we want to basically cut this trace right there, or basically right here. I'm going to cut it right there. So let me do that and see if we can fix it. You can see I removed some of the covering there for that, and I cut the trace. Now, I wouldn't recommend people do this necessarily. I was just curious if this actually did fix it, instead of putting the board on there. And you can see I don't have any continuity between those two sides. So that trace is now fixed. That trace is no longer there from the connecting the ground of the volume pot to the brightness pot. So let's put our stuff back in and put it back in the cabinet and see if it fixed it. Alright, so if this doesn't work, I'm not going to blame, Mark. Use your information at your own peril, I guess, or whatever. So, but it seemed to make sense to me. And so let's power this thing on. Hopefully I got everything plugged in right. I have my mic hanging about the same spot. About the same, isn't it? I still hear the hum. So that might not be the permanent fix. The good news is it's, the game still works and everything. The monitor's washed out because I have the lights on there pretty bright. Interesting, it goes down below 30 now. Alright, back at the bench here, and because that didn't have the desired effect or impact, we're going to take out this volume pot here and put it over here where it says VR371 and move this capacitor there to C379 right there. So I'm not going to film that, but I'm taking this pot, desoldering this pot, putting it in here. I'm not recapping the audio board. I'm just kind of going through what this, people on KLOV have said. A lot of people say don't use the original pot. I'm going to use the original pot just to see what's the result. And then maybe I'll test the capacitors and stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, remove the volume pot here. Replace the capacitor there and move the volume pot over this way. So let's put it in the cabinet. Alright, I have my microphone kind of in the same spot. And I think it, cutting the ground trace did make a change. It was like 38 decibels, went down to like 35. And then the quiet parts of when the game was playing, it was all the way down to 29. But wasn't a huge difference. Now, I will say that I did deoxit the pot since I pulled it out. And I had not done that before. So that's a variable. Plus, it's probably not in the same position. So those are some variables there. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it sounds worse. But maybe that's because it's so loud. Yeah, I think I have the pot adjusted, and it's a little scratchy. So I might need to replace the pot, actually. We're just going to wait because it's around 50 maximum volume, which is what we were at before, I think, when the game was playing. Let's see what it is. It's a little bit different, but actually the sound is different. Like the type of hum is different. And honestly, I don't think it's that much better. I mean, it says decibel-wise that it's better. It's like 5 decibels quieter. But again, that could be the difference in the position of the volume pot because I adjusted it. But still too noisy. So I'm going to try a new pot. And that's something where, others, maybe a new pot, because everybody's putting in new pots, maybe that's actually the main issue is the pot. I don't know. Okay, back at the bench. I got some 50K ohm pots that should work, even though I don't like them. And then I also have this pot here that I might try, even though I might have to bend the legs a little bit. So let me remove these boards and replace this pot and see if we can finagle this thing to get rid of the hum that way. I have not recapped the boards. I have not even measured them. Maybe I will. Okay, sure. Got the little pot right there with my little knob turned on it. I had to kind of oh damn, I should have showed that. I had to actually, for the middle pin, I had to kind of extend it with like a leg of a capacitor or something and just kind of rig it up. So it's not perfect, but I kind of like this better than those other cheapies. So let me put it in there, see if it fits better. Here we go. We're going to turn it on. Oh, it's a little loud. So let me turn the volume down and come back because that's definitely loud. But it doesn't seem like it's that much different. I mean, it's still kind of noisy, but let me turn it down. All right, I turned the volume down, so obviously that could be part of the issue, but this just seems like it's still pretty loud. And at the quiet parts, it's like down to 15 decibels. Yeah, I still hear hum. I don't know, the whole pot thing. Alright, so I took this amplifier board back out and I figured I'd just do some ESR measurements on some of these caps, and honestly, whoops, I don't think they're that bad. This is it really, you have to know what the microfarads are, so this is 4.7, so it's got an ESR of 8, but that's like kind of in the yellow range. And I have Bob Roberts caps right here, as well as some from, that is a 100 microfarad. Kind of, You know, I guess these caps could be replaced, but let's see, does it go like this? No, see, that one's decent. I mean, I'll go ahead and replace them because I'm just screwing around, but honestly, I don't think the caps are the problem. That's another 4.7. And I also have replacement, you know, transistors and amplifiers and stuff for both of these sides. So I might go ahead and replace all of that, as well as put in a new pot, because I don't like the way when this one's in there and it's laying down on the side like this, it's kind of a pain in the butt. If this was in a vertical cabinet, this would be perfect, but it's like laying down kind of like this in the cabinet because it's horizontal and it's messing it up. So I'm going to replace that pot, maybe even put in the original pot back in, because I don't think that's the problem. Just screwing around. Oh, actually, I have caps from Peter, and they do measure, well, because the voltage is a little bit higher, they do measure a little bit better than the one from Bob from an ESR standpoint. But I'll also measure the capacitance, which obviously makes a difference in filtering out these noise and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't know. I might just go with Peter's caps because they're Nichicon. They're probably better. They're newer, and maybe even, I don't know. I just figured I'd go with what is supposed to be the better kit instead of the old Bob Roberts. So, all right. So I went ahead and put from Arcade Parts and Repair. I put their caps in there. His caps are higher voltage, lower ESR than, but I think the other caps were fine. I also replaced that one pot, put a different pot in there. But honestly, I kept the amplifier and the power transistor the same. And I just try to, you know, do it stepwise as much as possible with as little number of variables as possible, just to see if we can get some improvement. All right, I have a little microphone set up, and I know it's going to be loud because it's about set to half volume. So, but let's see. Oh, I'm clicking it. No power. What happened? Yeah, with the volume halfway, I just got it powered on. The volume halfway and the volume what it is, obviously, it sounds terrible. So let me turn the volume down a little bit to where it's normal, and then I'll come back. Turn it down. We're at like 28 decibels. But again, one of the variables is where the pot is adjusted to. That's still pretty loud, actually. Yeah, so I can still hear it. Whoa, what's going on? Is it focused? There we go. So let me try replacing the power transistors and see how that goes. I mean the amp too. Alright, just showing that I replaced both the power transistor and the amplifier. And we will put this back in. I didn't take the whole monitor out this time. Got it hooked back up. Still a little bit of hum, but it does seem a little bit better. I'm not sure. Interesting. It does seem like that helped a little bit. I don't know, I'm not doing this very scientific. The one thing I haven't done, as I'm sitting here at the back, is disconnected this JB connector from the remote board. And I don't think that should be impacting anything because it's not connected to the amplifier and I have the ground cut. I don't think that should make any difference, honestly. Yeah, I don't see the point of removing that, really. Interesting. So, I don't know. I think if I can do something else or try anything else beyond putting it back the way it was and seeing if it's any different. Alright, back at the bench with the whole monitor, and I'm trying to figure out how to wrap up this video. I think what I'm going to do is put everything back the way it was. Even with probably the original pot. I'm just going to put everything back. I'm going to fix the trace that I broke here, and then put everything back and see what it sounds like. Because I don't think it's really drastically changed by doing anything except for turning the volume down. It's changed a little bit, I think. Initially when we did the break, it changed by about a few decibels, but I didn't notice it really changing that much between the putting the pot on the actual amplifier board versus the remote board. So I'm going to put everything back. All right, we'll just to show that I bridged that where I cut the trace, I bridged it back up with a little solder blob, and everything's back in. We're going to put it in the cabinet here in a second. Now the other thing is, I think Ian had documented this as putting a 1000 microfarad cap either on between these two on the transformer or these two. So this transformer is what's probably taking 110 volts in and stepping it down and bring it into here, and then there's the power transistor and blah 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 that's covering it. So that's an option, I think, to kind of filter out the 60 hertz hum noise that you hear. Is it coming from this transformer? That could literally be part of the issue. I'm wondering if you move that transformer out away from the amplifier, if that's as much of a problem. That could be interesting, actually. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to put it back in. All right, I'm in the cabinet, at the back of the cabinet. I need to correct something. That little transformer thing, I guess that is, it says 8 ohms, so that's something for the speaker, because this red and white wire goes to the speaker, and the brown and white wire is the input, sound input from the PCB. So the amplifier must be getting its power from somewhere on the monitor chassis board. I have, my fault, I haven't really looked at the schematics much. I was just doing what people have posted and documenting it, but that's kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know what that 8 ohm little transformer thingy must be, like a band pass filter or something like that. I'm gonna have to look that up. V630 Sanyo 8 ohm. Huh. All right, anyway, let's power this. We're going to turn it on. So it's a little bit louder, but it could be related to the sound. Oh gosh, now my game's not booting. Whoops. Didn't have the video on. That's all that was, just no video. And I turned the volume down just a little bit. Alright, everything back to the original. I think it's definitely noisier back to the way it was. Crap. Alright, I'm gonna remove the ground loop again, leaving the volume exactly where it's at. Okay, I removed the ground loop again. Let's see. Seems like it's the same, if not a little bit noisy, more noisy. Noisier, more noisy. Oh. Now I'm not even getting any sound. Be right back. Alright, I didn't have any sound because there was no volume actually turned up. But that's what's kind of weird actually, is if I turn down the volume all the way, I know you can't see this, you still get the hum without any volume. So it's not related to the audio signal itself. Actually, the hum is significant, I would say. Interesting. Is it the pot or is it something else? I don't know, but it's not the ground loop. I don't think the ground loop is the problem. I might go ahead and go put it back one more time. So I have, I removed the volume pot. I actually removed the connector, the JB connector as well from the remote board. Moved the pot, moved the capacitor, or put in a new pot. Volume's turned all the way down. I should have had that done, you know, doing these tests with the volume all the way down, of course. But anyway, that's one additional variable, removing JB. But let's put it in and see. Okay, this is the last one. Oh my gosh, it's dead quiet. What? I can hear the monitor humming a little bit, the whine squealing a little bit, but the hum is gone. I mean, look at the decibels with the volume turned all the way down. We went from like 4 to 8. Success, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I had to remove that JB connector. That was, or, oh, I don't know. Or maybe I didn't reconnect. I did reconnect the trace that I separated or cut out. I actually put a blob of solder back in there. And I removed the JB connector. Was that JB connector part of the problem, even though it doesn't make sense why that would be the case? Let me turn the volume up and be right back. Alright, I had to turn up the volume a little bit, and that did introduce a little bit of noise, but still much better. Definitely from the 30s down to like the 20s. So I would say definitely moving the pot. It's not just the ground loop. But this seems like about what I was getting before, so it's probably just, that's as good as you're going to get it. Alright, I was watching back the video and I realized I made a mistake, I'm pretty sure. This is the ground coming from the monitor chassis. This one right here that goes into FA. That is right there. Yeah, right up here. And then that is the connection. The next connection right here is where from the amplifier board, the little control wire, JB, I think, or something like that, right? Yeah, JB. That comes in here, the ground. And then that goes to the pot ground. And then it comes over to the brightness ground. What I did is disconnect the brightness ground from the actual chassis ground, which is dumb. I don't know what was I thinking, because I don't think this ground goes anywhere else. Yeah, Yeah, exactly. So it's almost impossible to disconnect the audio ground from, on the remote board, like from the JB connector as well as the pot from the chassis ground without disconnecting the brightness pot from the ground. You need to take this chassis ground and put it basically in the same spot as that brightness pot. And I might do that. Take FA here and then feed it into the brightness ground, which is this pin right here. I basically put both into that spot. And then you would have this, hold on, if I did that, moved it over here and cut this trace, then this would be isolated. So move this over here, cut the trace here, this would be isolated from the chassis ground. I think that's right. So let me do that. Oh God, messing with this. All right, I tried to do it and it just looked like it was a big pain in the ass, so I decided not to do it. Oh, what? Oh, that came off? Shit, I gotta fix that. All this moving around, I broke this thing. I have to fix that. Alright, but anyway, back to your normal programming. I'm gonna cut back into the video, and somewhere I'll cut this part into it. So, alright, it's definitely more quiet. I'm gonna finish with a little game. Might as well, right? I think the monitor looks pretty good. Oh my god. I'm trying, oh my gosh. I was trying to get 4,800 points by getting at least 2 of them down. What a dummy. Alright, whatever. I might not, who knows how long I'll play. This is where you can get like a lot of points here. God dang it. It's a pretty bad game. Whoops. Oh my gosh, almost died there. Playing on camera, I start getting nervous. Oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, thought he was going to land. I'm in trouble now. Totally screwed this up. Oh my gosh, I didn't think. Oh my god, whatever. Alright, now I'm done. That's it, y'all. Mario Brothers hum a little bit less than it was before, but overall, looking good. Sounding good.